a 2017 Mercedes-Benz CLA250, and today I'm going to give you an exterior overview and an interior overview, and then I'm going to drive it and share my impressions. Since this model was introduced in 2013, Mercedes-Benz haven't really made very many changes, so there are a lot of cars just like this one on the road. This is being filmed in early 2019, so you will be seeing the new CLA later this year. Let's start with the dimensions. At the front, the car is pretty narrow. This is about as narrow as it gets, so this is only 70 inches wide. Coming down the side, the car is 182.3 inches long and a wheelbase, pretty short wheelbase of 106.3 inches. Now this car is not equipped with the optional LED headlights. These are the standard headlights. There's just standard bulbs in here. I don't think personally it looks as good as the LED lights. I would recommend that you go for that package. Let's come around the back, look at the tail lights. We have a similar situation back here. We have standard bulbs in here, but I think actually they do a much better job in the back, making this look like a modern tail light, even though it's standard bulbs in here. Alright, so now let's talk about the exterior build quality of this. Panel gaps are okay, not the best I've seen. Let's keep in mind that this is the entry-level model from Mercedes-Benz, so they're trying to import these to the US as efficiently as they can. So I'll cut them some slack for a large panel gap on the hood. That's pretty typical. But let's walk down the side here. This is reasonably large. This one's getting smaller. This one's getting even smaller. I prefer it if there's some continuity between the panel gaps. Let's come around to the trunk. We have a fairly large gap on this side here, but look on the other side, a lot smaller. So, I mean, again, typically panel gaps around the trunk aren't as good, but at least side to side, I would expect from Mercedes-Benz that we would have some very good alignment. Coming down the other side, we see, remember over there we said we saw a small panel gap at the rear door, but look at this, this one's enormous. So it's doesn't really line up side to side. Getting smaller here, and then getting even smaller here. That is what it is. This car, it has the standard equipment, 17-inch wheels. These are 225/45 tire, all-season tires. This car does not have a power trunk, so let's open it, and we have pretty small in here, only about 13 cubic feet of cargo volume. Again, this is a very small car, so that's what you expect. We got a first aid kit in here, and then under here we do have, I don't know, I think that's enough space for a spare tire. But what I find very strange is that this car was not equipped from the factory with run-flat tires, yet it still does not carry a spare tire. That's definitely a big risk that I'm not sure a lot of people are willing to take. Now let's go ahead and take a look under the hood. Look at this. We just got a standard stick here. Nothing helping to hold the hood up. Okay, under here we have a 2-liter turbocharged inline 4-cylinder. This is the lowest output version in Mercedes-Benz lineup of their 2-liter engine. It's 16 valve with variable valve timing. Makes 208 horsepower at 5,500 RPM, and it makes 258 pound-feet of torque all the way down at 1,250 RPM. Now this engine is interestingly mated to a 7-speed dual clutch transmission as opposed to the standard Mercedes automatic transmission, so this can give a little bit rougher of a ride. Mercedes says it'll do 0 to 60 in 6.9 seconds, and the EPA rates it at 24 miles per gallon city, 37 on the highway, for a combined of 29. Now let's go ahead into the interior and check out some of those features. I'll go ahead and start it up. As you can expect from Mercedes-Benz, the interior of this car is very nice, has a nice modern layout and lots of features. Let's start with the seats of this car. These are a bucket style seat with a little bit less adjustability than a normal seat. It's all fixed back and the headrest is fixed as well. So we have obviously forward, back, up and down in the front and the rear of the cushion. And then the back moves forward and back, of course. And something that's a little weird here, we have on the typical Mercedes controls on the door here, we have a spot to adjust the headrest, but as you can see, this is not even a button, this is fixed. The headrest doesn't move at all. So that's a little bit weird. These seats also have a manual adjustment of the cushion extension at the bottom, so you can kind of just put that in those different positions. That's pretty nice to have that adjustability, but it would be nice if it was power actuated. This car has a very nice feeling steering wheel with lots of buttons up here. We can answer the phone, control the volume for the media, talk to the Mercedes assistant, and then we can also, on the left here, we have different buttons for controlling what we have up here in the gauge cluster. We got some nice analog gauges. I really like the look of these. We can view our speed, trip kind of information, eco display, the usual stuff, and then we can switch over to the different places. So we can look at the radio, the Bluetooth, driver assistance. This car is equipped with Mercedes Distronic Active Cruise Control, so we'll demonstrate that later. Yeah, so you got lots of different features up here. Okay, this car does not have the Mercedes current generation infotainment system, but it's still very usable, very nice. We have navigation, of course, radio, media. You can connect your phone, Bluetooth. It does not have Apple CarPlay. It does have live traffic, which is pretty nice. And then some of my favorite features are over here in the vehicle area. You can change all kinds of settings as well, but also this allows you to do the dynamic select. So this car also is, like many Mercedes, is equipped with dynamic select, so you can customize the individual configuration here, so you can look at the different features that it's controlling. So we have so it looks like in this car what is changing is transmission response, steering. This does have adjustable electric power steering, so it can make the steering feel heavier or lighter, turn on and off, auto start stop. And look at this, you can put the climate control on comfort, or I think, let's see where it goes. I think, yeah, it goes to eco. So if you want to use less power for the climate control, you can choose to do that as well. That's interesting. Also in here we have the engine data. I always like this page. You have some little gauges. You can monitor live the battery voltage and the oil temperature, and then also it can I'm not sure how it's calculating this. I think it just makes this up, but it has some numbers for what kind of horsepower and torque you're making at the time. So moving down here, we have some buttons to control up here, some shortcuts to the radio, navi, telephone, and all of that. There's some keypads you can help you when using the phone. These buttons here are much nicer than the buttons up here, but they're still plastic. These are not aluminum buttons. And then down here we have the climate control. I mean, pretty standard stuff. These are very nice. These are nice knobs. Got all the different standard climate control features. Got a little area here just for the ashtray. This interesting piece here for this coupler. To me, I see this silver trim around here, and like this is a door, and I see this. I thought at first there's some kind of cover that comes over here. It covers a couple, but it's not. It's just, this is where it is. Hangs out in here. And then this knob is for using the screen up there. I definitely do not like this knob nearly as much as some of the larger knobs you get on other Mercedes-Benz. This one isn't as nice and doesn't have as many features. And then also some very small cup holders right here. This is cute little cup holders for a cute little car. Also, let's take a look in the glove box here. very small. The only thing you have room for in here just about is the owner's manual. So you don't expect too much cargo space out of this. Now let's go ahead get into the rear seats here. So again, knee room, it's very close. Leg room, actually it's not too bad, but where this car really suffers is the headroom. I'm 6'1", my head is touching the ceiling. So, and especially if I had a even taller driver in front of me or somebody, I like to sit quite close to the steering wheel for a more sporty driving position. So somebody who maybe had a more relaxed driving position and was tall, definitely space would be an issue here. Yeah, and most of all, the issue is headroom for me. Back here we have just some climate control vents, cigarette lighter, 12 volts, and ashtray. Also in the center console here we have the Mercedes-Benz pop-out cup holders, which I think do a good job. And then very interesting in here, the two side headrests are not adjustable, but the center one is. It does go up and down, and look at this, we have the little pieces sticking down in here. I think that's kind of weird. All right, let's talk about quality. Pretty solid door close there, not the best though. So this vehicle is equipped with MB Tex upholstery, so it does not have any leather. This is some of the better faux leather that I have had the opportunity to sit in. It's definitely not as soft to the touch as some of the nicer real leathers though. This car does not have wood or aluminum trim. This is the standard trim. Don't have to pay any extra for this. It's a plastic. It's a little bit textured and has this pattern on it, which I think from afar looks pretty nice, but you look up close to it. This is really, in my opinion, this is really cheap stuff to find in a Mercedes-Benz. These center climate control vents, I like them a lot. They feel pretty solid. But again, the bezel around the edge is kind of cheap plastic. That's not as nice, but the actual vents are pretty cool. These buttons down here are much nicer than the buttons up here, but again, these are not aluminum. These are plastic buttons, and as are these. These have climate control knobs have a very nice click to them, but again, they do jiggle around a little bit plasticky, as with all these buttons. This opens and closes very solid. This is nice. And then here's my probably biggest complaint. This knob, it feels very, very cheap and plasticky compared to some of the other knobs in other Mercedes-Benz models. They often have like a big kind of ceramic or glass type knob, and this just doesn't hold up to the standard of some of their other models. Steering wheel is very solid. Everything, all the buttons you touch on here, it's fine. We have this nice accent here, and then this coming over to some of the most important buttons in my opinion. The window controls. These are plastic, and they feel definitely better than some compact economy cars, but again, these are not nearly as nice as some of the higher end Mercedes models that have these aluminum window controls. Those are really nice. Those are just a joy to use. Seat controls as well, kind of jiggly, but it's a nice plastic. Okay, all of this stuff up here, this soft touch plastic, is a different material than they use for the dashboard on some of their higher end models. So this definitely feels a little bit out of place in a Mercedes-Benz. This stuff is not nearly as nice as the dashboard soft plastic material that you get in some other models. All right, driving the Mercedes-Benz CLA250. All right, first thing you notice, there's definitely a lot of noise from the transmission. This dual, oh my goodness, staying in second gear here. Let's get it to go up to third. There we go. There is the shifts are kind of jerky because of this dual clutch system, which is not very, which I don't think is very refined. And you don't even get a really fast shift either. So here, let me go into dynamic select. I'm now in the sport, okay, and I'm going to use the paddle shifters here. So I shifted down here. Now I'm going to shift here. Take a listen how slow it is. That's not particularly fast. So in my opinion, I would rather, if my transmission is not going to be super fast, I'd rather have just a regular slush box automatic and not worry about the jerkiness of this dual clutch system. Other than engine and transmission noise, these are pretty high profile tires, so that's not there's some noise from there. And then also I think there's a lot of noise just kind of shaking around. There's nothing rattling in the cabin, but there's definitely more noise coming in here than some higher end Mercedes-Benz models. Still, it's pretty quiet. The ride is a little bit harsh. It is certainly not, I mean, I'm not going to say harsh. The ride is not, it's just not really smooth. Going around corners, there's still some body roll, and going over bumps, there's a lot of movement. You definitely feel what's going on. So definitely whatever suspension is on here it's neither very comfortable or handles that well, but this is a very lightweight car, so it's very fun and spirited to drive, and I think that combined with this transmission maybe wasn't the best choice, but I think that it seems like it has enough power. It can accelerate pretty well, even though this is the lowest power output of this Mercedes-Benz 4-cylinder engine. It does, because this car is so lightweight, it still gives a pretty sporty driving experience. So overall, I think this is a totally solid choice at this price point. This car is very well put together and has a lot of features that you might not find on some other cars at this price point. So I think that the Mercedes-Benz CLA250 is while it's starting to get a little bit dated since it hasn't been updated since 2013 essentially, it still has I think it still has a place in Mercedes-Benz lineup.